Good afternoon, fellow Plexers. This is my second video on my new Ugreen DXP4800 Plus NAS and Plex server. Let me log in. We'll give away some of the stuff. I've got a bunch of streams running. 2 are on my regular server, 9 are on this new NAS, and we'll get back to that in a little bit. So, the Plus model of the 4-bay NAS, let's go to Control Panel and About, has this Intel Pentium Gold 8505 processor and a modern iGPU in it. Now, their 6 and 8-bay NAS has a better processor yet. The regular 4-bay has an N100 processor, and I'd say this Gold 8505 is a little bit better than that. And I think my transcoding test is going to prove that. Now, the only thing I've done is I've stuck in some more memory. So it came with this 8 GB Samsung memory stick and this slightly different one. See where it's CWMOL versus CWMOD? This was on the compatibility list along with this, but I could only find this on Amazon, and that came this afternoon, and I've popped it in there. So Plex is running in a Docker container. Let me show that before we get into the web app. All right, here's Docker. And I have Portainer running that I installed first, and then I use Portainer to install Plex. So let's show you how I've got that set up. All right, let's go home, click the Docker icon, and we'll go into Stats. And full credit to Marius Hosting. His website was primarily with Synology NASs and how to get Docker containers running, all kinds of different Docker containers, and now he's branching out to Ugreen NASs too. So he has an excellent setup guide, only I don't like his path statement. It leaves a little bit too much to the imagination. So everything's a copy and paste from him, besides finding out my own PUID and PGID numbers, changing the time zone, and setting my own volumes. So my volume 1 is a SSD volume, and I probably should have shown that in the Ugreen interface. So when I bought this, I purchased 2 M.2 drives, 1 terabyte each, and they're in a RAID 1 volume. Then I had 4 old Iron Wolf 4 terabyte drives from 2019 hanging around that I wasn't using anymore. And I popped them into a rusty RAID 6 volume for 2 disk redundancy. Okay, so volume 1 is my fast SSD volume. That's where the Docker container lies, and that's where the configuration files go, the application files. Now I'm pointing to the Plex, or the media-plex shared folder on volume 2, the rusty folder, and this is the alias I see inside of Plex to know where my media is. And that's it. It's a pretty simple Docker container. So this looks impressive with 11 streams, but 2 friends are streaming off my normal server, and I have 9 going in Plex with his test server. Now originally I tried to set this up as I showed in last night's video with a RAM drive using half of the available 8 gigabytes of RAM that the NAS had. I put the 16 in total today, the extra 8 gigabyte stick, and I reset the container to use half of that, and I did not have luck. I couldn't get over 6 streams to transcode properly, and I was pointed in the settings to the location I had set in the Docker container. So now I've changed this Portainer set of instructions up just like I would on a Synology NAS. I'm leaving this blank, letting Plex figure it out. And by doing so, I have 8 transcoded streams stable. You'll see we're using the HEVC feature. Everything's hardware except for the stream running in the HTPC client app on this desktop install of Pop! OS. So I wanted to show you that. Now, this is a public domain server, or all the media is public domain except for this one 4K rip. Let's put this into the same level of transcode, 4 megabits per second at 720p. I'm hitting enter now. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000. So 4 or 5 seconds it starts up, and now I have 9 of these streams transcoded. I think this is a fabulous success. Only when I played around with this before starting the recording, this 9th stream started to buffer occasionally. It just did it. If you caught it right here, it just buffered. With this playing direct, none of the other streams buffered. So the wall is 8 transcoded streams with a high bitrated 4K HEVC video. But I think this is pretty good for an inexpensive Pentium Gold processor. This is pretty good. You see it buffering again, but it wasn't buffering enough to interfere with the stream, and I really can't show too much of this, or I'll get a copyright strike on YouTube. So I'm going to put this back into direct stream, and even with all these streams running, this will be instantaneous. It just starts up. So I really think this is a very successful test. I'm very impressed with this unit. I think it was, what was it, $509 or something on Amazon Prime without any drives. I'm disappointed that I couldn't get RAM transcoding going, and I'm probably not going to buy more RAM to test it again. Let me show you how I have it set up. This is a test unraid server, and this is my main unraid server. So if we go into Docker and we find the Plex app and we edit it, let's show the advanced view. Let's show more settings. And this is the instruction to use half of the available 64 gigabytes of RAM for RAM transcoding, and it works like a champ under unraid. Now, I'd love to know if I had 64 gigabytes of RAM, if I could set it up with RAM transcoding under the Ugreen NAS, but I'm just not going to worry about that today. I've never done anything like that on my Synology Plex servers. I've got a bunch of test servers running on each of those. I just think this is fantastic. This is a great little NAS for someone. And compared to Synology, I love Synology DSM. I love the ecosystem. I'm not too pleased that their new drives or their new NAS models, the 2025 models, can only use branded drives. My DS1520 Plus has a 9th gen Celeron processor in it with a UHD Graphics 600 iGPU. It's getting a little long in the tooth. That can handle 5 of these same transcoded streams. For the same price of a DS423 Plus that has the same processor that my NAS has, this is the better buy. The only thing lacking in the Ugreen universe is there's no expansion unit to attach. So if you buy the 4-bay NAS, you can only add larger hard drives to increase storage, where with the Synology brand, a lot of the models can take an expansion unit. I have an expansion unit on both my DS1520 Plus and my DS1019 Plus, and that saves having to scrap the original NAS to get something with more capacity. So Ugreen would be perfect if they also had the ability to add an expansion unit. But for someone who wants to have Plex on a NAS with storage, Ugreen's a fabulous option. I'm very pleased. This is only my second video, and it's just fantastic. 9 of these high bitrated HEVC streams. Let me see if I can do one more comparison, if I can find it. All right, this is the chart someone else took time to create for NVIDIA GPUs. This desktop computer has a Asus GeForce 3060 12GB card in it. So if we change this to 4K 68 megabit, which isn't as dense as the video I'm streaming multiple times right now, down to 720p, and we look at that 3060 card, the 12GB one is right here. That estimates that you could do 10 of these streams. Well, I'm already doing 9 with this NAS. So this NAS can transcode as much as that expensive NVIDIA card can. With ease, I might add. Now let's show one last thing. There's always something more I want to talk about. Let's go into Task Manager. With all these streams transcoded, let's look at the CPU under the Ugreen Task Manager. Now we're up to 52% utilization, and the processor is getting warm. But if you're a gamer, you know that heavy gaming makes a hotter CPU than what we're seeing now. This is considered the high-end temperature, or nearing the high-end range for moderate use. I'd rather have this be cooler, but I'm not complaining at 65 degrees Celsius or 150 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's look at the GPU. With all those transcoded streams, the GPU is only running about 50% utilization. And now, my memory, this is wonderful, 29%, 30%. This is just a great little NAS. I'm very impressed. The next video I'll talk about how to set this same model up just as I have so you can get the same results. Basically, I follow the Marius hosting instructions for Docker. I'll kind of go over all that and show you how to set a better path system up. So if we go into Files and I hit Shared Folder, this is my shared folder, and then I use sort folders for each of Plex's library types. And I've just got a movie hanging out here for some reason, I don't know why, but it's a test server. So I'm very excited. I may do a whole series, and maybe some feedback would be nice. I'm always worried about doing anything involving the trash guides, besides advice and maybe how to set containers up without configuring all the services. I'm trying to decide whether maybe I should do a configuration video for the trash guide setup with radar, sonar, and lidar, and only pull public domain media to see if that might be a way I can do a nice setup video without worrying about any copyright strikes. So that's a decision I have to make, but that might be in the future too. So happy Plexing. I'm very impressed with the Ugreen NAS so far. It's a test server. I'm still going to stick with my Synology hardware, and when I'm all done testing it, maybe I'll sell it to somebody in the group. Just don't know yet, but I'm very excited with this. Thanks for watching, and happy Plexing.